Good morning. Hello again. It's so nice being back. And I'm here again with Arlaana.
Hi.
And we're going to tell you and talk some more about how we got to this happy place that we are right now.
Okay, I'm going to take it away briefly and then put it back to you. So, when I tell you a little bit about myself, when I was little, I actually just about died. I shouldn't have been around because I had such a high fever that the doctors never had seen anything like that. And since then, I've kind of challenged and overcome death 3 times. So I was a very adventurous person because I had no idea whatsoever what it meant to be normal. So I thought normal meant to travel by myself around Europe for 4.5 months, or I thought normal would be to sing and get myself into risky behaviors, and I thought normal meant to do all these crazy things because my parents had lots of mental illness. My mother, 13 hospitalized nervous breakdowns. My father, pre-dementia at age 40 and died young. So when I found out about Buddhism, it seemed normal. It just seemed normal. And in the room where I attended my first meeting, there were all these very well-known jazz musicians. I think Herbie Hancock was there. Tina Turner came to one of our meetings. But they just seemed so down to earth and normal. And I said, this sounds interesting. And they said, you can chant for anything, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Just chant and you'll be able to accomplish anything. And I said, okay, might as well. What the heck? I'm an adventurous person, so I'll get started. And once I found out about it, I didn't stop. And here, 50 years later, still getting amazing, amazing, amazing benefits and overcoming seemingly impossible odds and transforming what we call poison, changing poison to medicine. How about you? Because when I first met you, I was so impressed, and especially all the colors that you wear, and you're a very glamorous kind of gal, and I love the person who introduced you too. She was very, very cool.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, but it didn't start out that way for me. In fact, when I was born on an isolated island in South Carolina, where we were too poor to even use the word poor, that I always felt that the stork had probably made a mistake. So
Wow.
that's how my life started, thinking, I don't belong here.
Wow.
I belong somewhere else, and where I would have the things, because I was a avid reader from the very beginning. And it was like, this is not how my life should be. And so throughout,
I'm actually crying.
throughout, it's been searching and searching. And because my people are very religious, I've gone through this evolution of first Baptist, and then my father was Methodist. And then when my children came along, I gave up on the Black church. And found I practiced being a Baha'i for a long time. And then when the children were grown and I moved to Charleston, I was without a practicing faith, and I was finding my peace, and I still hadn't reached happiness. And then I came along and met somebody, which is still very mystical to me, how I met this person who was practicing Buddhism, and that's how I met you. But I don't feel
Excuse me.
that...
How did you meet Portia? How did you meet her? You said it was mystical. How
It's
so?
mystical. This young lady, a professor at a university in Wisconsin, we met up because we were 2 professionals in Charleston, South Carolina. And so we became friends, and she kept telling me she wanted to take me to a meeting. And I always had an excuse because somehow I always thought she was going to take me to an Amway meeting. And I am not a salesperson. And so it was like, I don't think so. I'm busy. And then finally, I have to tell the truth no matter what. And so finally, I didn't have a reason to say I couldn't go to this meeting. and I ended up at a Buddhist meeting. And somehow Nam-myoho Renge Kyo caught me, and I've been there ever since, and I've found some wonderful thing. But I don't feel that that's for everybody. And could you share that? We're not trying to convert anybody to practice what we practice. What we are here about is sharing our happiness and joy and how we feel we got here, and hopefully others will relate to it and we'll be able, and we'll all find out how we can all get to this happy place. What do you think?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. It's recently my beloved sister just passed away, so I had to go back to Brooklyn for her funeral. And the first night there, we went to a Palestinian restaurant, and there were lots of Muslims there, or people of all different kinds of backgrounds, and they just all seemed to get along. And if you know anything about Brooklyn, there's tons of ethnicities, and it was just such a warm, nice feeling. And I had the carry-out bag afterwards because we ordered way too much food, and on the carry-out bag it said, "We may practice different beliefs, but we are all human." And having practiced Buddhism for so many years, I really respect, I have to say, I really do deeply respect each person. And I don't care what your background is, what your belief, if you're rich, if you're poor, if you're anything at all. Everybody, we say everybody has the Buddha nature, which means everybody is worthy of respect. So how are we going to have world peace? Well, it has to start with the individual. And each person has to know what it means to overcome the deepest, darkest sufferings, or the sense of lack of dignity in one's life, or the sense of really caring for your life, for the lives of people around you. And it all comes back to you. I keep on thinking we're the protagonist of our destiny. And that's what I really liked. Even though I was brought up Jewish, and because I had a good voice, my mother wanted me to be a cantor in the synagogue, which would have been an interesting segue to my life. I just felt like there wasn't that sense of respect for all people. And when I was little, I used to ask my mother when I can go back to Africa, and she looked at me like, "You must be crazy." And I was a crazy, crazy kid. And I ended up going to Africa and almost spending a lifetime in Africa. But I guess the point is each of us is valuable. Each of us is a treasure. Each of us is worthy of respect. So I guess practicing Buddhism is just finding out what it means to be a human, really.
I'm so glad you brought up that word about human, because human means a double thing to me as an African American or Gullah Geechee person. One, biologically, we're all human, and we know what that is, Homo sapiens, sapiens, and I think everybody can come to a definition of biologically, scientifically, what we are as human. Because of slavery, the American system created a system outside of the human world and created a hierarchical racial system that divides all of us. And so there's superiority, inferiority, in the middle. And not until we come to a resolution about that, and that's why I'm going to law school. It has to be litigated in the courts about who's human and can we all become human again. But in terms of, I know what you're talking about, the spirit, the human spirit, that everybody can have that. And because I've come through 3 different kinds of practicing religions, that it's the same thing. We just call it a different thing. We call it Buddhahood. In Christianity, it was the spirit. In the Baha'i, it was the belief in the oneness of man. There was only one people, and only one God, or a person might call it universe, somebody else might call it Allah. It was whatever you call it. But it's for us to have a educational understanding of what human really means. And I think, isn't that what you want us to get, what we want everybody to get to, that place?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, I know that this is your passion. And the book, how many years ago did you publish your book?
2010.
2010. Oh, same year you started practicing Buddhism. Interesting, right? And I know that your vision is to get rid of all the distinctions, even on applications, are you black, are you white, are you this, are you, and just we're all one human race, and we all came from the same place. And that's really the key, to really, however we get to that. And there are many, many ways that we're going to get to that. But being a human being is the most difficult thing. And just because you're born and stand upright, and, those of us who can stand upright as we get older, it doesn't mean that you're automatically a human. And there are very few humans, people who really practice appreciation for one's life, compassion, caring, for others. I mean, I always think about what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind to our wonderful youth, our future, which should be focusing on 1,000%, not 100%, 1,000%. Do I want to be known as somebody who is a very self-serving individual? Do I want to be known as somebody who, stepped over people's lives for my own gain and satisfaction? Or do I want to be known as somebody who's really encouraged human beings? That's the richness of life. That's the fullness that we can experience being a human being.
And that's why I love being your friend, because we can talk honestly.
Yes.
And get to a point. And hopefully you have enjoyed, or you were able to follow along with us today, and we'd like to hear from you and hear what your story is in terms of your happiness as a human in this particular time.
Yay. Thank you so much, Johnnie. Johnnie, who knows what we were in the past lives? Maybe we were husband and wife, mother and daughter. Who knows, because life is, in fact, eternal. So we've had many, 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 many different lifetimes.
Well, that's another story. So maybe we should talk about that the next time.
Yep. For sure. Okay. Thanks so much, Johnnie.
Thank you.
Then thank you, wonderful listeners. Thank you. And remember, you are the protagonist, not the victim of your destiny. You can find us at Libsyn. I'll spell it. L-I-B as in boy, S-Y-N as in Nancy. Don't mess with the Mommas. We'd also love to hear from you. You can email us at mommas.podcast@gmail.com. And finally, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Don't Mess with the Mommas.